Wow, didn't get interrupted. That went well. I think I'm just generally trying to follow this path. I took it before and got to the right place, just went... What is chasing me? There you are. My soul. How many... Oh, good lord. The Blighted Shock is good for 600. Next sounds are the weakest of them. So I have trapped 7 souls. That is decidedly not a clip racer, guys. The scamp. I also appear to... When did that happen? Okay. There we go. What is attacking me? Ah. Rat, give me your soul. Yeah, fair. Unfortunately, I get that spam a lot because I have an enchanted weapon with, like, no enchantment points. Now can I sleep? No. What's that? Another rat. Now I can rest. Except the rat doesn't want to actually let me. This seems familiar. Getting there. Hey, we gotta level up. Thought you could use soul gems to recharge an enchanted weapon, but oh, well it just... So let's see, where's the crap one at? So just like... Ah! Okay, so it doesn't exactly do a whole heck of a lot, but that is how I use them. Probably better to just sell the item most of the time. So we need to go... What thinks it gets to fight me? Is it you? Do I have... You... Butthead. So it's supposedly somewhere around here. That? That looks like it might be something. Can I? Nope. Enemies nearby. I'm gonna guess that this is Punavi. Seems like the right... Yep. Seems like the right location. I'd rather like... You wanna come over here and fight me? Are you stuck on a tree? Yep, okay. That's what I needed to kill. Strength. Int. Agility. I mean, agility probably seems the best use there. Literally just found it. Don't tell me I've already lost it again in trying to get that thing done. It's probably on the local map, isn't it? Yep. Okay, so the recharge amount is randomized, but it's also a function of enchantment level. Ah. That gave one charge. Okay. Well, here's Punabi. This is the other guy. I have a strong suspicion I'm going to get attacked. I'd like to have this just in case. Hello, Monway. Guild dues. Left the Mages Guild to dedicate my life to studying the adaptive responses of quaternary variations in Oblivion streams. If Uranus Athras wants to use that match, why don't you just pay them yourself? I'm unconcerned with such petty financial matters. Guild dues. Okay, so I'm just supposed to, like, pay the dues for them? But also, what the hell is this? Hunger. I have been attacked by hunger.
It'll be your blood.
12 gold. That'll go a long way towards the dues, I'm sure. That's a whole bunch of junk. Who are you? How the hell am I supposed to deal with that? Like, I don't even know how to get to it. Frost Atronach. That'll go a little further towards the dues. That's... a worn cavern door. Oh. I mean, I'm gonna take them down eventually, but apparently they can summon bone walkers. Little gold. We need to restore strength and endurance. Okay. Strength's all good. There are still enemies nearby. Meaning... Locked and trapped chest. Burn with junk. A book. The First Hold Revolt. Whole bunch of scrolls. Oh, gave me mysticism. She told me that if her brother won, she would be sister to the King of Wayrest, and Reman would want to keep her for the Alliance. But her brother Helseth lost and has fled with his mother back to Morrowind, and still Reman has not left her to marry me. Lady Ghislaine took a long, slow drag of the hookah and blew out dragon's breath, so the scent of blossoms perfumed her gilded chamber. You make a very poor advisor, Kale. I might have spent my time romancing the King of Cloudrest or Alinor instead of the wretched husband of Queen Morja. Kale knew better than to hurt his lady's vanity by the mere suggestion that the King of Foresthold might have come to love his Denmark Queen. Instead, he gave her a few minutes to pause and look from her balcony out over the high cliff palaces of the ancient capital. The moon shone like crystal on the deep sapphire waters of the Abecan Sea. It was ever springtide here, and he could well understand why she would prefer a throne in this land than in Cloudrest or Alinor. Finally, he spoke. The people are with you, my lady. They do not relish the idea of Reman's dark elf heirs ruling the kingdom when he is gone. I wonder, she said calmly, I wonder if as the king would not give up his queen for want of alliances, whether she would give herself up out of fear. Of all the people of First Hold, who most dislikes the Dunver influence on the court? Is this a trick question, my lady? Asked Kale. The Trebite monks, of course. Their credo has ever been for pure Altmer bloodlines on Somerset, and among the royal families most of all. But my lady, they make very weak allies. I know, said Jeline, taking up her hookah again thoughtfully, a smile creeping across her face. Morja has seen to it that they have no power. She would have exterminated them altogether had Reman not stopped her for all the good they do for the country folk. What if they found themselves with a very powerful benefactress, one with intimate knowledge of the court of Firsthold, the chief concubine of the king, and all the gold to buy weapons with that her father, the king of Skywatch, could supply? While armed with the support of the country people, they would be formidable, nodded Kale. But as your advisor, I must warn you. If you make yourself an active foe of Queen Morja, you must play to win. She has inherited much of her mother Queen Gorenzia's intelligence and spirit of vengeance. She will not know I am her foe until it is too late, showed Jeline. Go to the Trebite Monastery and bring me Friar Lilim. We must strategize our plan of attack. For 2 weeks, Reman was advised about growing resentment in the countryside from peasants who called Morja the Black Queen, but it was nothing that he had not heard before. His attention was on the pirates on a small island off the coast called Kalias Lar. They had been more brazen as late, attacking royal barges in organized raids. To deliver a crushing blow, he ordered the greatest part of his militia to invade the island, an incursion he himself would lead. A few days after Revan left the capital, the revolt of the Trebite monks exploded. The attacks were well coordinated and without warning. The Chief of Guards did not wait to be announced, bursting into Morja's bedchamber ahead of a flurry of maidservants. "My queen," he said, "it is a revolution." By contrast, Jeline was not asleep when Kale came to deliver the news. She was seated by the window, smoking her hookah and looking at the fires far off in the hills. "Morja is with council," he explained. "I am certainly telling her that the Trebite monks are behind the uprising, and that the revolution will be at the city gates by morning." "How large is the revolutionary army in contrast to the remaining royal militia?" asked Jeline. "The odds are well in our favor," said Kale, "though not perhaps as much as we hoped. The country folk, it seems, like to complain about their queen, and stop short of insurrection. Primarily, the army is composed of the monks themselves, and a horde of mercenaries your father's gold bought. In a way of thinking, it is preferable this way. They are more professional and organized than a common mob. Really, they are a true army, complete with a horn section. If that doesn't frighten the Black Queen into an abdication, nothing will," smiled Jeline, rising from her chair. "The poor dear must be beside herself with worry. I must fly to her side and enjoy it." Jeline was disappointed when she saw Morja come out of the council chambers. Considering that she had woken from a deep sleep with cries of revolution and had spent the last several hours in consultation with her meager general force, she looked beautiful. There was a sparkle of proud defiance in her bright red eyes. "My queen!" Jeline cried, forcing real tears. "I came as soon as I heard. Will we all be slaughtered?" "A distinct possibility," replied Morja simply. Jeline tried to read her, but the expressions of women, especially alien women, were a far greater challenge than those of Altmer men. "I hate myself for even thinking to propose this," said Jeline. "But since the cause of their fury is you, perhaps if you were to give up the throne, they might disperse. Please understand, my queen, I am thinking only of the good of the kingdom and our own lives." "I understand the spirit of your suggestion," smiled Morja, "and I will take it under advisement. Believe me, I've thought of it myself, but I don't think it'll come to that." "Have you a plan for defending us?" asked Jeline, contorting her features to an expression she knew bespoke girlish hope. "The king left us several dozen of his royal battle mages," said Morja. "I think the mob believes we have nothing but palace guards and a few soldiers to protect us. When they get to the gates, are greeted with a wave of fireballs, I find it highly likely they will lose heart and retreat. But isn't there some protection they could be using against such an assault?" asked Jeline in her best worried voice. "If they knew about it, naturally there is. But an unruly mob is unlikely to have mages skilled in the arts of restoration, by which they could shield themselves from the spells, or mysticism, by which they could reflect the spells back on my battle mages. That would be the best scenario, but even if they were well organized enough to have mystics in their ranks, and enough of them to reflect so many spells, it just isn't done. No battlefield commander would advise such a defense during a siege unless he knew precisely what was he going to be meeting. And then, of course, once the trap is sprung," Morja winked, "it's too late for a countering spell." "A most cunning solution, your highness," said Jeline, honestly impressed. Morja excused herself to meet with her battle mages, and Jeline gave her an embrace. Kale was waiting in the palace garden for his lady. "Are there mystics among the mercenaries?" she asked quickly. "Several, in fact," replied Kale, bewildered by her query. "Largely rejects from the Sigic order, but I know enough to cast the regular spells of the school." "You must sneak out the city gates and tell Friar Lilim to have them cast reflection spells on all the front line before they attacked," said Jeline. "This is a long one." That's most a regular battlefield strategy, frowned Kiel. I know it is, fool. That's what Morge is counting on. There's a gang of battle mages who are going to be waiting on the battlements to greet our army with a barrage of fireballs. Battle mages? Would have thought that King Remen would have brought them with him to fight the pirates. You would have thought that, laughed Jeline, but then we would be defeated. Now go. Fire Lilim agreed with Kale that it was a bizarre, unheard-of way to begin a battle, casting reflection spells on all of one's troops. It went against every tradition, and as a Trebite monk, he valued tradition above every other virtue. There was little other choice, though, given the intelligence. He had few enough healers in the army as it were, and their energies could not be wasted casting resistance spells. At dawn's light, the rebel army was in sight of the gleaming spires of Firsthold. Father Lilim gathered together every soldier who knew even the rudimentary secrets of mysticism, who knew how to tap into the elementary conundrums and knots of the energies of magicka. Though few were masters of the art, their combined force was powerful to behold. A great surge of entangling power washed over the army, crackling, hissing, and infusing all with their ghostly force. When they arrived at the gates, every soldier, even the least imaginative, knew that no spell would touch him for a long time. Friar Lilim watched his army batter into the gate with the great satisfaction of a commander who has counteracted an unthinkable attack with an outrageous defense. A smile quickly faded from his face. They were met at the battlement not by mages, but common archers of the Batless Guard. As the flaming arrows fell upon the siegers like a red rain, their healers ran in to help the wounded. Their healing spells reflected off the dying men, one after the other. Chaos rules as the attackers suddenly found themselves defenseless and began a panicked, unorganized retreat. Friar Lilim himself considered briefly holding his ground before fleeing himself. Later, he would send furious notes to Leda, Jeline, and Kale, but they were returned. Even his best secret agents within the palace were unable to find their whereabouts. Neither had, as it turned out, much previous experience with torture, and they soon confessed their treachery to the king's satisfaction. Kale was executed, and Jeline was sent back with escort to her father's court of Skywatch. He has still to find a husband for her. Remen, by contrast, has elected not to take a new royal concubine. Common folk of Firsthold consider this break in palace protocol to be more of the sinister alien influence of the Black Queen, and grumble to all who will listen. So someone's kind of an ass, and got their comeuppance. On DC's open door. For a nice chunk of gold. And a couple of not so impressive pots, but scroll of the first barrier. So just a bunch of scrolls on this table. Summon Golden Saint. Summon Flame Atronach. So I think what the book was saying was it saying they had alteration mages? Because it talked about mysticism, but it also talked about, like, alteration. It is a little odd. The book also had quite a few grammatical issues and spelling issues, but let me. Or just poisoned? Yeah. Just heal through it. Oh, you meant the reflecting the healing spells at the battle. Yeah, okay. I mean, as a game mechanic, that would be incredibly problematic. But I can see where it would come from.